Hey guys, it's me again, Orcslayer. What is? Where I last left off, Deku and all of them were preparing for the very final assault against the House of Bulls. This is where they will fall. Now, we cut to, it's the time skip to the point where they're like, it's a day before, like, everything, they, like, launch the assault, and they get their plans in order. So, they're at the big table, Deku and the Kells. Deku's like, so, me and the House of Stags will first lead an assault by, first off, taking out some of their, not taking out their ships, but scouting it out, led by my scouting team, Kaminari. Now, after that, Kaminari will establish sniper positions in at least an hour. But as that continues forward, what will happen is, as they are ready, we will send a barrage of rockets at some of the catches. How many catches do they have in orbit? They have around 5. Pretty big considering, but apparently they're all in terrible shape. Yeah, they're in like shitty shape. As one of them says. Me, supported by me and my 3 catches, as well as with our smaller ships, the skiffs and the like, will first start the attack by sending a barrage at 3 of the ships, which then should, if our calculations are correct, take down the shields as well as doing massive damage, maybe even bringing some of them down. Now remember, we are to knock them out of the fight before they are able to begin with. We are not killing the innocent here, we're going after the guilty. Like, right. House of Stat. Then, approximately 1 hour after that engagement begins, after we have supposedly drawn out their forces to the front lines. But keep aware that they have been attacked several times in the last. They've been extremely weakened. So, their again was backed into the corner. This is their last stronghold. They will be fighting more ferociously than any other time we have seen them. Do we make ourselves clear? As you're like, do I make myself clear? The Kell of the House of Jaguars said, so after that, me and the Kell of Lions will be pushing up through the back. That is correct. Now, after that, you will do several pronging attacks to try and infiltrate the building, both of you. They should be weakened, but remember the saying, every plan does not survive first contact with the enemy. Or, not every plan survives first contact with the enemy. Things might get broken up, we may get hit harder, they may be even more ships than we're expecting. Make sure you come prepared, and just in case. So the Kell is like, are you sure about this, Deku? Yes, I'm sure. Panthers will end this, once and for all. After you all have secured your lines, we shall push up. See, I got 7,000 at the moment. As he talks to Kell, yes. Currently, we have no young, no elderly. Everyone is ready to fight. That is the only reason we've been able to be around. And he talks to the other 2, like saying, Jaguars, Lions, how many do we have on your side? I don't know, like I said before, we don't know exactly the number of the houses. There could be millions, or even like hundreds of thousands, millions, or billions of each individual house. So, and I'll say that they have all of the thing put together. They have roughly, maybe, I don't know, 70,000 troops at the ready. That's including non-combatants, that's excluding non-combatants and young ones. They're like the House of Stag and Haved, and that's just Elixir. We got several, like dozens like thousands of shanks, dozens of hundreds of servitors ready to be unleashed. Now the Archon, the Archon for the Lions, is still hiding with the Prime Servitor. So, as they're like, how much forces do they have supposedly? They have around 70,000. I think, no, they have like around 80,000. So we're outnumbered by a bit, but we should still be able to pull through. Oh, remember, keep your eyes sharp. So as they get this done, they're like, organize your troops, Baroness. And Kell, my Kells. This is the day we end. Tomorrow is the day we end them. It's like, right. As they all walk away. As Deku's walking side by side the Kell of Stags, he speaks to him saying, you sure this will work? Your plan. Do you not remember my Kell of Stags? Not every plan survives first contact with the enemy. We shall see if it goes according to the strategy I put out. But the House of Bulls became strong because of their Kell. Ruthless and cunning, as well as a good strategist. He may be sensing attack, guns locked and loaded, ready to be fired. Keep eye out. Now, as they get to their ships, it's like 6. So the thing is, 6 catches for the House of Bulls, along with 100, maybe more skiffs, and 50 other smaller ships. Some people may be thinking that's way too much if you know Destiny, but I don't know. The system is a large place, tons of place where ships like this could be hiding. So they've scrambled everything together that they could. So, as they continue forward, this isn't all these ships are thrown together, poorly made, and scraps. So, and Deku's little fleet will be supported by, I believe I said 3 catches. Several, there's also supported by, maybe, they relatively have half the number that the other side has. But Deku's and the Jaguar ships, since they're being, supported by Deku, and they have some of his supplies and his upgrades, quote-unquote, with his ships, he is ready. They're, tip-top shape. Better weapons, better shields, and, more importantly, better armor. Plus the crew, Deku has had some of his troops training crews on certain maneuvers, as well as he's been training them on, certain formations, sort of diamond formation, Squadron ZY, and such. I made up some random ones, but there we go. He's as they get to their ships, they're in transit, it's the not final day, but Kaminari, he's Kaminari, you will be leading your crew, or your company of, I believe they have 100, so they'll be setting up their little thing. Deku says that Kirishima and the rest will be ready to be deployed, while Toga and them will be waiting in reserves. While they if they see a chance, they'll be fighting up front, but if they have the ability, know what? Cancel that. They'll be also fighting up front. And Deku says, and I will be controlling from the air. Now, they got their spider tanks and such that will also be supporting the first assault. So, and I'll cut now to when he's giving the speech. I've already given you the speech. I said we're searing this house torn down. That's final. But remember what we are here for. We are here for not combatants, not the innocent. Am I clear? As he says it, it's a resounding, yes, sir. He's now, Kell of Stags, you will wait for me to give you the signal. You will be dropping off your forces en masse, as well as your forces will be supported by several hundred shanks, several hundred shanks. No, yeah, like thousands of shanks, 100 servitors or so, and 2 fallen walkers. While I'll be taking command of your vessels for your ships. Is that clear? He's like, yes. Yes, Baron. Yes, Panther Baron. As this is said, he's like, alright, we all got our goals. So Kaminari and them all land in. They're all using their stealth such, so they move in and like scout out the area. They take care of the sentries, and as that happens, they like notice, hang on, we're getting enemy movement. Oh, looks like they notice the sentries are gone. As this is said, the Kell on the inside of the House of Bulls is like, we lost contact with 2 of the sentries. What are you waiting for? Get out there and look. As I continue forward, Deku, well not Deku, the Kell from this house will be but he sends out several squads, I guess, of troops ready to be sort of intercept and such. As he continues forward, he will be not leading, but like I said, sending out troops. He's right now concentrating on the other things he can do, which include organizing troops, checking their supplies, and trying to keep the general populace under control. Where they are? Never said that, did I? Where they are situated at, they've essentially taken over a city. Guess similar to the last city, but not as prepared. They have like gun emplacements, and yes, but it's not just like some hole in the ground or such. Don't know of any good places. As he continues forward, Deku and them will... Not Deku. He's like, there's watches, all that. So as this happens, they go forward. Kaminari and them all scout out. Kirishima and the the Stag forces land down and are ready to move up. Now, Deku ships just ready and go. The barons and the ships and the Kell and the frontal office sort of like, sir, several ships have just dropped out of slip. I don't know what they use. I just know it's like a go faster ship. But there's tons of ships just appeared out of nowhere, ready to open fire in 3, 2, 1. As that happens, Deku's first barrage of rockets, lasers, and everything in between just destroy the shields and just take out the ships. Several smaller ships and several little medium-sized ships. So they're all just like, oh god. At that, Deku and the space battle has already begun. Some of the ships are going straight down and crashing into the city and crashing into the battlefield. As this happens, the walkers just two giant tank shots are taking out two heavy weapons placements, where this will be a legitimate siege. Kirishima then pushes up with his forces and just rushing forward. Also, the Kell of Stags is in the back, leading his forces and getting commands. As that happens, Deku's hundreds of ships just that whole thing. Now, as Deku and them continue forward, the city's notified of this. Like, I believe it's Dead Orbit who's built a massive fleet. So is Marasov. Like, they were watching close to Deku's home, and then they just see, like, all this activity, and then just... woof, and, like, quite a few of the forces have been gone. The entire House of Stags, because Marasov does know this, they're like, what's happening? Then one of Marasov's crows, also reporting upon this, ends up right next to one of Vicor's head, and they're like, whoa, 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 what are you doing here? We're keeping an eye on this fallen named Deku, and they're like, oh, we are too. Same goals. As they, like, hear, like, a bunch of explosions, they're like, look down the battlefield, do you see them? As they're, like, both recording this, like, sort of Zavala and the Vanguard just sort of get into contact with the Reef. They're like, wait, you've made contact with Deku? She's like, yes, he's done some things for us. I don't know what this is about, though. Vanguard's like, seems like the House of Bulls are getting final nail in the coffin to the House of Bulls. She's like, House of Bulls, don't know much, but they were apparently responsible for the destruction of the Panther House, or something along those lines. From what we could gather and how much hatred he has for him, that's what we guessed. So as they say this, they continue to record. They seem like the thousands of fallen that rush forward for the city, being undercover as well. Like, Deku has sent dozens of ships to just keep covering fire for the fallen charging. Toga is taking control of half the army, and Kirishima is taking care of the other half of the forces on the ground, of the Panthers at least. As they rush for it, just several rocket launchers, even some more, like, Dobby gets his, like, Dobby's, like, little group of band of merry men just, like, set up their mortars and, like, several explosions going off this city. Ikura's agent and the Hidden and the Crows just, like, are checking this out. Zavala and them are, like, looking at this, and they're like, wait, I don't see him, he just has two captains. As they, like, take a look up and just see the massive battle, they're like, what the? Dead Orbit, like, rushes into the room like, Zavala. Like, one of the representatives saying, a bunch of fallen are in one place. Good. We can send in our forces. Take care of a large majority of them. He's like, no. Why? That fighting's pretty intense. If they see some of our ships, they may turn against us. You know, they're like, I see. I see what you mean. Forgive us. It's just I came in a rush. He's like, no problem. Let's continue watching. And as the Awoken, like, sees Marasov, it's like, the Queen of the Reef. She's like, yes. Hello. As they continue back to watching the, like, very strategical and, like, very ruthless assault that's been carried out. After a while, the Kell for the Stags come out, like, Kell for Stags come walking out and such. As they walk forward, it's just like being covered by the Kells guard, which is like a group of vandals, from what I saw. So they, the toughest of the vandals and such, so they come out and just like keep an eye out. They're like, and as Deku is like, now it's time to cut back to Deku in the seat, like, top battle, while Kirishima and Toga taking like a very large portion of the city, and Kaminari and his snipers are like on buildings now, using their ability to crawl up. The Kill Bulls at this point has like rounded up like all the people and have put them beneath shields and such, similar to Halo. Yeah. But I continue forward, saying that the Fallen and such after being led by Kirishima and Toga, they are being led very successfully, following Deku's orders at least. And now the Kell is up there fighting up, so he's kind of tearing down some of the Elix or the Bull forces. Now back to Deku. He has lost several ships. One of the catches on his side is severely damaged. The same could be said for the Bull side, except more so. All three of those ships have taken quite the beating. Like over 100 small ships and like the normal size medium ships put together have been taken down. Deku has lost way less, but then again, his forces are much smaller, so any loss against this is kind of bad. It was like, it's like, Section 8, move up, kill their engines. Servitor 6191, cover their tracks. Just zipping and zipping around. He's like, board that ship now. As Deku's boarding parties report success against one of the catches, and they're like, blowing reactor, and they all evacuate, like, and then just like starts crashing towards, and actually ends up hitting another catch, and they just several things. But at this point, something happens. Several walker tanks end up lighting up one of their catches, and it just so happens that they were deployed on top of one of the catches on their side, on the enemy side. They decide, well, let's ditch attempt. They essentially had several ships carry them to the top of the catch, and after they prepared a volley of hyper armor piercing rounds along with their shock cannons and such, they light up one of the catches and just, we're going down, the Kell of Stags noticed this, and it's like, avenge us, Kell, and just. And this sort of sends, after like seeing one of their catches fall, the Kell is like, go! After like a massive charge, and they fight even harder than they were before. They've taken quite a beating. Deku's like little groups, just because of the number, he ends up contacting the Lioness and Jaguar saying, you need to get back here! Support now! They're like, we got kind of cut off. What do you mean? The House of Devils were preparing a raiding part, the final push. They attacked us instead. As they're like fighting off this like a massive aerial battle, it's like, we're sending several ships as we can, but we won't be able to keep them forever. As this is said, Deku's like, fine, I'll try to win this with what I have. So he organizes them to like, it's like, okay, they got one catch left, half of their numbers are cut down, but we're also kinda taking a beating ourselves. Deku's shields have like sort of gone down a bit. He's like preparing his last barrage before he may have to like take out the weapons, cut the engines, and just focus on his shields. The other catcher on there also does it, and just final barrage tears through dozens of ships. Like, he pretty much finishes off after like this last barrage, takes out more than almost all their forces, as well as taking down the last catch, and it's a disaster. Like, several buildings have collapsed because of the ships that have crashed into them. And so Kaminari and them are like, keep moving, Kaminari snipers are picking off target. Dobby's grenadiers are still doing their thing. Twice is still leading like teams. Deku, I believe I said 600, as well as the servitors. Servitors are being taken down in the hundreds, because the Bulls have also unleashed their servitors. So, as this is said, Deku, finally the reinforcements from the Jaguars and the Lions finally arrive. And it's sort of just, we're here, tell us what to hit. My people are being kind of boxed in, deal with that. As, like, several ships are, like, bombing runs and, like, just dropping suicide shanks that just blow up enemy lines. They finally get, like, the ability and they rush forward. Deku, whose ships and such have taken the beating, like I said, and the final ships have been put down. As Deku says this, he's like, oh, this will be quite costly. As they say this, they like get contacted by the Kells, saying that they've broken through the blockade, and we're on our way. The devils pulled back, realizing what we were trying to do. I guess they want us to finish their dirty work. He's like, fine, then we'll have to finish this quick. So as they're rushing forward, Deku's like teams and such, they're cutting through. Kirishima and Toga, each individual leading their like little groups, as well as the fact that they've lost several groups, as well as several vandals, hundreds of shanks, several servitors. Just, it's a mess. So this is a costly endeavor, even for Deku's like elites. So as they push forward deeper, and the spider tanks at this point have pushed up and are moving through the, like, trying to get into open places. So they're like destroying other things. The bull then like gets fed up with it and is about to charge forward to go deal with them himself, like he's been doing. But then out of nowhere, it's like, we're being assaulted by the two other sides. It looks like jaguars and lions. He's like, oh, we're gonna die. But he's like, they think to squash us today. We will not let them. They'll be good on our horns. As he says this, he like rushes to go meet with the Lion's Kell. As he rushes, not the Lion's Kell, Kaminari, the Stags, Kaminari and Toga have been sort of split up, like boxed in their own little areas. And Deku has like sent down more servitors and more shanks. He's like kept some in reserve. He didn't deploy them all at once just in case for this occasion, because he's prepared, and drops them and just blows apart. But at this point, this Kell has rushed for the Stags. He's rushing with like a horde of his own, like, very crazed, fanatical dregs, vandals, and captains and barons. He sent several barons to hold off the other two Kells. He's going to kill the Kell of Stags. It's the one thing he's gonna accomplish. So as he rushes forward and his forces crash into the Stags, he's mauling and just tearing apart smaller licks, and he's like, no! The Kell for Stags sees them and they rush for one another, just charging forward. And not Deku. This Kell is much larger than this other smaller Kell. As he rushes forward, he's firing. This Kell, the Kell of Bulls, just shrugs him off and just like grabs him and throws him into the wall. He's been able to separate, so it's like a one-on-one battle. The Kell's guard for the Stags have seen this, and they're like making this desperate attempt to like push towards their leader, just like, no! They're fighting even more ferociously than they already were. But it's just the same as with the Kell of Bulls. His his forces are equally fighting just as ferociously to keep them back. So it's more like an entire, like several mosh pits of animals tearing each other to limb from limb. Like dregs are like tearing vandals apart and other dregs apart, and so on and so on. Deku has noticed this and like sort of sends down in like several little, not pods, but like on like the extra skiff or his personal like fighter craft, because I'll say he's figured out how to do that, because why not? He's not just the best commander, he's also the best dang pilot they've ever had. Like, I'll say he learned because of more military videos and such. He's just like found all the he's just going through one day, he's like, what are these instruction videos on how to fly a jet? Ooh, puts it in. It's like, ooh, let's see, pull up to go pull down to go up, push down to go down, pull up to pull up. Alright, I see. Big red buttons to fire. Alright. He's like zipping around using like his two arms and like other eyes and arms to like keep an eye on his like little thing like wind speed and all that. He's like as he lands, he like on a building, and like this one has Kaminari's little teams on it. He's like, watch my ship. As he like jumps down, like going down the wall, like he sees the Kell of stags like being beaten, bashed, and smashed. As finally it's like thrown to the side, he's trying to crawl away. Then as he's like, the Kell's like, your weak house will die. Even it's the last thing I do. He like rips off his like helmet. He's like, you're weak, nothing, time to die. As he picks up like a giant, like, I'll say he had an axe or something, not just a gun, like he had an axe, and just like raises up and like slams it down, like sort of like flips it up and like stabs. And it's like, oh, as he like flings it up and like raises up the Kell of stags, just as the House of Stags see this, some of them begin to like break, while others like shout, like the barons who were commanding sort of shout them back into place, and they say, avenge the Kell, retrieve the body, as they like fight like 3 times as more than they were. Deku makes eye contact with this Kell of bulls, and he also makes eye contact. Deku was as big as the Kell of stags, so he like leaps off and like goes from building to building, just sorry. As he rushes forward, Kirishima and Toga have been able to rejoin the main battle lines, also supported by the hundreds of Shanks and dozens of servitors under their command. They're just pushing forward. At this point as well, the Kell from Lions and Jaguars have pretty much annihilated, like, one Baron is essentially keeping all of them back through his, like, through her, like, sheer command, sheer force of will, just holding back this tide of forces. Though she is being pushed back, but so are the other bulls. So, as they, like, form their, like, last line of defense, just, fight, hold them back! Deku sort of finally jumps down, like, completely. He also has his sabers as well as his rifle. As they sort of pace. No, actually, scratch that. He's found a way to recharge that Scorch cannon, so you know what he's using. He like fires a couple of shots down at the lines to weaken the bulls in certain areas. That also gives him enough energy to push. This Baron has no like illusions or like anything else. He knows that his house is done. and that he will face down this destruction, weapon in hand. As Deku gets all the way down, this Kells like, oh, so, your house is still alive? Expected you all to die. Doesn't matter. I'll kill the last Baron. As he says this, he like readies up and charges forward, like swinging wildly. Deku ends up just straight up shooting him, and just as he gets flung away by the Scourge Cannon, just as he's like down on one knee, holding over the area that's been blown up. Deku not rushes forward, but walks forward very slowly and methodically, dropping down the Scourge Cannon next to the Kell of Stags, and just walks forward, two swords drawn. This Kell gets back up through, again, sheer force of will, and just takes up his weapon. Deku and him face down, and then they're off. Clashes of metal and loud claps as they like fight are heard. It started to rain, so it's like, oh god. And as there's this prolonged duel, Deku is just slowly getting like little shots in. He has to be more agile, because this Baron, like I said, is bigger, stronger. Sorry. Bigger and stronger, like more muscular and such. So as they're fighting, Deku just eventually ends up being able to like sort of slide the blade over, and Deku chops deep into this Kell's neck. So as it's like deep in there, he like grabs on and pulls Deku close. As Deku takes his other sword and goes, whoa! It goes straight up, like into the body. He's like, oh. Killer of Kells. The same fate will happen to you one day. It is the way of the fallen. And just collapses onto the ground. As Deku gives like a shout of victory, like the bulls finally break. They're just running away. They're not even acknowledging Deku. They fear Deku and the black and white. He like cheers like victory, sword. But at this point he's like giving commands through like other forces that we need to wrap this up quickly. Scavenge everything and round up all the civilians, is the way he speaks. They round them all up, put them on catches, and get them out of there. Deku they also grab the body of the Kell, as well as the other Kell. They grab their bodies. No, not the Kell of bulls, but Deku does take his weapon. And his helmet. 2 trophies for this one. Deku takes he takes 3. His weapon, his helmet, and his cloak. His like cape, which is very special. Deku takes these 3. So as he does this, they all like rush out there and get done. Deku reclaims the Scourge Cannon, hands the weapon, and blah blah blah. They gather all the ether stores, all of that has been like stored up there, which is quite a lot, but considering their new, I guess, not replacement, but new charges, they all just, it's not as much as they think it is, because, well, they're gonna have to feed all those innocent. They had quite a lot. So, as Deku and all of them like are celebrating, Deku just like has retreated to his like little room, and where his trophy rack is, like little trophy room. He has sort of put this giant axe on like a weapon hook, puts the helmet next to a load of the other helmets from the bulls, and a few not Kells, but a few other captains, well, barons from the House of Devils, Winter, all that. As well as Deku, I haven't said, but has engaged with more Hive. At this point, he has taken up a sword. Not taken up, but has taken a sword from a very powerful Hive. That wasn't as powerful as that one where it took that one Baron's entire forces, as well as several Scorch Cannon shots, dropping a pillar on it. It wasn't as powerful as that. It was just merely as powerful as something akin that could kill several Guardians, just like Deku can. Which is no small feat, as you would know. So as he's taking that thing's sword, he finally walks up to the thing and just hangs up the bull's cloak. He hangs it up. As he's says this, he's like, "Finally gotcha." And just not marvels, but just takes a second to look at it. He's like, "I got all this done." As Toga comes and fetches him, she's like, "Come on, party's happening." He's like, "Give me a second." He's like, "Took several years, so long of waiting, but it was worth it." Yeah. So, the Kell is being honored. The bulls are honoring their Kell through their ceremonies and such. So, they land back on the island and have all the bulls and such, which is quite a lot. Said there was around 70,000 of forces in the area. So, Deku and their forces, they've taken significant losses, so I've said that the bulls have lost their entirety of their forces. Because of the surprise attacks, them being severely weakened, and yada yada yada. As well as being starved from ether, because they had to cut their rations. But I continue forward by saying that the whole populace from the House of Bulls is rounded up. Their Kell is put to rest in a way. Some of them questioned where his cloak, his axe, and his helmet was, but some of them said it's best not to ask. The Panther Baron took trophies from his victory. As the Stags take their Kell, the barons that were under this Kell, take the body and just escort it to a sort of a place where it can be properly done with a ceremony. Now, as the two Kells, one of the barons that have been decided between the two of them, not two of them, but the several of them that would lead, or not lead, but sort of have their voice, their opinion. They've all kind of agree on what should happen. And then there's Deku on his little section, and some of the bulls are wondering he must be really important if he has a saying in this. So as they discuss, they're like, "So how should we deal with all of them?" So the bulls are just kind of countering, because they have armed guards around them. The Count of Lions just saying we could just split them up. We could just split them up. You take some of them, I take some of them. The Stags take some of them, etc., etc. Because none of us have enough ether to feed all of them, but we can feed some of them. They all sort of agree on this and look over to Deku. He's like, "I don't know why I'm part of this. They're part of your. If you want to do it like this, do it. I care not." But then he says, "But I will be recruiting more troops from each of your houses." As they say that, they're like, yeah, some of our troops could use more leaders. Deku really is going forward and giving more help to all these houses. I know he says he follows only one Kell absolutely, but he does enjoy take, I guess, pleasure, pride, happiness from helping all the houses to ensure bad things doesn't happen. So, as that happens, several vandals, captains, and dregs were lost during that battle. The barons from House of Stag need to elect a new leader somehow. So as they're figuring their stuff out, Deku and his gang are sort of trying to figure out how to do this. The forces for the Stag are being transported back since they only have one catch now, instead of the 3 catches that were supposed to, and the several ships. They're all being sent backwards now, back to their little humble abode, to take up, or not take up, but continue on with how they were going. And some of the barons come to Deku, asking that, how would he feel that he was, what would he do in their position? He's like, fine, we need to find a new Kell. The Kell is gone. We must find a new one before we start tearing at each other's throats. That is how every house without a Kell dies. By at each other's throats. He's like, you need to pick at least the 2 most capable, just amongst yourselves, and have the ones with the most support be the 2 prime candidates, I guess. Then those who have more support from the, I guess, major people in the not too, the more support should be Kell. That is how it should be done. So they go off and do their thing. Toga and them get done, not Toga and them, they're all done discussing this with Deku, and they're just oh, that was exhausting. And they've lost, like I said, several people. So he's figuring out what to do. That itches. He's figuring out what to do. So as he's trying to figure out his own things, I'll say they lost. I said they had 700 Elixir in the beginning. They lost around 100, so they're down to 600. As well, pretty much all the reserves of Shanks, their servitors are still around, but their Shanks, they're devastated. They barely have 100. They had equal, if not more. They had more Shanks in the beginning, but since after the battle, Now, that will be the end of that. The Kells divide the thing, while the House of Stags part are trying to figure out who's their new Kell and such. So they divide it up in 3, one third, 1/3 of the portion. So there's that 0.1% of those who don't have a home. So they're trying to figure out who to give that 0.1% to as well. They're not getting harmed. They're all just in a refugee camp in a way. So yeah. And a day or 3 days later, the barons from the House of Stag approach Deku. And I think you can all guess where this is going. They approach him saying that they have made a decision. He's like, alright. Well, also the Kells are there. They see them, the group of barons approaching Deku. And Deku's bigger than pretty much all of them. And they're approaching him saying that we've made a decision. What? Who your new Kell is? Fine. Who is it among you? Who is it among you? Do you want me to swear you in or something? He's like, no. As they all take a knee, We support you to be Kell of Stags. He's like, what? As this is happening, just all this is like just Deku's personal crew is just mine is and all that. And this is a good part to leave off with. A nice little cliffhanger. 50 minutes long. It's pretty good. Thank you guys for watching. Well, not 50 minutes. Maybe I'll have to cut back some time for times I went quiet. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you all have a nice day, nice night, nice life. Again, thank you for watching. Alright.